Hello, and today we'll be playing Finite Space. I think this game has been out for over a year now, 2 years maybe. I think somebody a while ago wanted me to play this. I glanced at this game over some time. I'm aware of it, and I know that it's a space sci-fi game, and it deals with this small human, being the kind of like a servant for this 7 foot tall canine who is a soldier who was injured in the war. So we'll go ahead and start now. The user detected. Thank you for your purchase and welcome to Starlight Tactiles. Thank you, Corin Stringer, for your business. Your new Instant connector has accepted your biometric input. Your SC-IK or stick is running an updated operating system. Connecting to the internet for updates. Updated, all files verified. Starlight Tactiles keep you in touch with the galaxy and beyond for over a millennia. Welcome and enjoy.
Fulgo Prime. Millennia ago, the Lupine people looked up to the stars with a collective hope. To meet and befriend all peoples they could find in this finite galaxy we call home. And so they did. They were the first to reach outside of their system and began to form connections with other planets and races. In time, the Asterism Union was born, a galaxy-spanning coalition of people and planets, as numerous and diverse as the stars we all call home. It had a noble purpose: to share, to coexist, to bridge and come together, to far exceed the sum of our parts, and elevate one another to truly dazzling heights. The plague tried to stop this dream. They came without warning, deep into our systems and worlds, hungry for our resources. Truly alien, impenitent, and unrelenting devourers. They harvested our planets like ripe crops, dredged our oceans, and consumed our virtuous people for reasons beyond understanding. They denied all hails and pleas to stop. They attacked any who dared oppose them, and they disappeared with their ill-gotten gains like ghosts. We were unprepared for and defenseless against such foes. Thus, the Union's great minds came together once more, this time with the purpose to defend and protect us all. The answer was the forming of the Knights of the Asterism Union, the brave and stalwart individuals from all systems who put their lives on the line to push back this insidious threat. From our logistical division known as the Castle to our keen-eyed archers, the KAU employs any with the will and desire to stand against these despicable invaders. The pride of our forces, the cavalry, leads our valiant soldiers as the vanguard. They pierce through the plague as the first responders to any appearance of the malicious locusts. They cannot do it alone. Much as the Asterism Union cannot thrive as parts, we must come together now more than ever. All walks of life, any person who feels the passion to stand up for what is right and true can be an asset. Stand up for your friends, stand up for your family, stand up for freedom and against the plague's tyranny. Stand with us.
As the Asterism Union fleet makes its way out to Foro, our quaint sister welcomes them with open arms and bids them a pleasant stay. Their efforts against the plagues weeping almost 2 decades ago, so that even the most far-flung planets are still important to and cared for by the Union. Fuck. Damn, boy. It's our humble yet brave pages that are ascending to become squires leaves us for further duty. We ask you all to stay true to your roots. Remember what happened here, and make us all proud. I'm, I'm close. Fuck. Go on. Um. The droning of the patriotic speech I was half listening to fades away as Morrows squirms beneath me. His breathing hitches as he spasms. He clenches his eyes shut as he groans and melts as warmth splurts and splatters between us. His insides tighten like a vice. I can't help but follow suit with a few more lazy thrusts and my own groan of satisfaction. Yeah, there we go. Oh. I lean down and then plant a kiss on his soft feline lips. The tickle of his whiskers fluttering against my cheeks always make me grin. He looks at me with a bittersweet smile and eventually pushes against my chest. That was great. Now go on, get off me and throw me a towel. I saw the worst part of your insatiable appetite is how often I have to sour. I'm going to enjoy not having to worry about the water rations with you gone. He might be joking, but his voice cracking at the end makes it clear he's trying to put on a brave face. Others had come and gone, but Morrows, we've been with each other through everything. We both know we're going to miss the shit out of each other. I pull out with him, slowly, catching as much of the mess as I can on the seats. Grabbing a towel from his neat rack, I toss it at him, giving him my own far, jovial smile. You best enjoy it while it lasts. In a few years, you'll be right back by my side. Then all the sours will be on cow time, and we can resume indulging in as many study sessions as we like. Not even the afterglow from our messy, last-minute fun is enough to dull the ache in my chest. Damn, I'm going to miss him so much. Whilst the sexual aspect was fun to blow off steam, my friendship with Morrows was the one constant I had for years, and the feeling of loss and separation was still a bitter taste. Morrows busies himself with cleaning up before looking at me with sharp eyes. I want to hear everything. You'll get to actually be up close to active duty ships. Some Frisian, surely a Mawari or two, maybe even an Andalusian class ship. My jealousy knows no bounds. Mara swoons at the thought. He's back into his starship obsession, which makes goodbye easier. Not to miss the drop ships. While I wouldn't give to just examine one of their engines, I can hardly wait. As he licks off dreamily, I know I've lost him. I feel like I have soaked up enough by osmosis that I could probably bore someone else in his stead. The reason I passed my written exam was most likely due to how much he talked about them. As he continued to talk about gravitational slingshots and system jumps, I gathered my clothes and redressed. It might have been unplanned, but I'm glad that he had a good womp before I left. I know most of the time Morrows just puts up with his libido, but I know he enjoyed this send-off as much as I did. I hope he finds a good replacement while I'm away. Everyone needs to unwind every now and then. Speaking of, okay, Kmar, I get it. I promise I will chat as much as I am allowed, but don't be disappointed if I can't do much. I'm sure there will be all kinds of restrictions, and I won't be able to tell you everything. I promise I will try. He looks crestfallen for a second before he perks back up. I understand. I just wish I was getting deployed this time around to be away off my mind. If I could get hands-on with the steed that you'll be flinging yourself around in. Looking at decades-old design hollows or sips doesn't cut it. He grumbles, but that is just his way, part worried, part jealous. Morrows wasn't ready for all the practical exams this year to be able to enlist. Even though I had scored higher than I ever had in practice, I still came close to not making the deadline. I couldn't spend 4 more years waiting. I need this. Morals knows. We don't need to talk about it, and I'm thankful for that. After I finished putting my pants back on, I checked my small pack of belongings. While the clothes I had on were the nicest I owned, they are far from new. Once we begin our final approach, I'll change into my crisp new uniform. As nervous as I am about becoming a cow squire, the rippling feeling of excitement and anticipation is stronger. Constantly, I find myself checking the vacuum-sealed package to make sure it is still real. A small beep from my STIT or stick indicates the fleet's departure is approaching and I have to leave. I snatch it up from the dresser and then quickly deactivate the leader's spiral without looking, flicking the device's tactile nods to shut down the hollow display. My fingers run over the biggest knots it has, a deep gouge that runs a few inches along its left side. Among the many scars the device has gathered, it was certainly the most memorable, something I touched absent-mindedly like worrying a loose tooth. Miles pounces on my back and wraps me in his version of a strong embrace, pulling me out of my thoughts. Send me a quantum message when you touch down. Alright, even if it's redacted and all that, just let me know how things are. He lets go to look at me with those kitten eyes he does, and my mouth tugs into a smile. Of course I will, Mara. Don't worry, I may be going far, but I'll still think about this backwater system at least once in a while. But yes, I will message you as soon as I'm there, I promise. I give him one more hug, this time facing him. Before parting, I know I can't drag this out any further, so I make for the door. I feel a lump in my throat, but I cough it out. And to pull the door ajar and give Morris a final look back, he raises and then soothes me off. With that, I turn and leave. The transit gets me to the port fast enough. I spend my time staring at our planet above. It feels so close and yet so distant. As much as I miss it, being relocated to the moon has its benefits. The fact I don't have to ride one of the barely held together shuttles up here certainly makes the difference. Even now I can see the cracked and barren side of the planet that the plague attacked is a scar that will perhaps take her entire life cycle to fully recover from. Bubbling rage starts to well up. My hands clench the armrest in anger. Arriving at the info system port, all transfers and destinations outside are forward alike here. The loudspeaker announcement pulls me from my fixation and I finally look away. Getting up and grabbing my meager belongings, I join the bustle of others making their way out. Seeing the Ark ship always takes my breath away. The colossal fleet vessel stands gleaming and imperial, dwarfing the other ships in the port. Morris and I came every quadrennial to see it, and dreamt of the day we would be leaving on it. It stung that we aren't both going, but see what I had worked so hard for finally makes me buzz with excitement. Approaching the ship, I see large containers being offloaded. Their contents will be distributed to the populace. The Union's aid allows us to keep colonizing the possible living space on the moon, as well as assisting the revitalization efforts planet-side. I straighten my back proudly as I step forward with greater purpose. I am now part of the fleet proper, even if the actual change of classification will come on Osid. I see the entrance where the new squires enter, and I make my way over, and Ernestine checks me off her list. And the Gnosis podium with a glossy panel stands beside her, a marker outlining an area for scanning. I place my palm on the rating device and force myself to not wince as the needle pierces my wrist, taking the required blood sample. I've seen this test happen before, and part of me wants my first point a contact with the night to be a strong one. Whether or not she was impressed, the large night does not show it. She focused on looking over the weed out from my vitals, storing no hazards or pathogens in my body. The other sign weighs me through with a curt nod, which I return. After I head inside, I turn my head just enough to give my home a final look before the door blocks it from view. The journey from forward is quick. Being one of the farthest flung systems in the galaxy means that the Ark ship will have picked up all other new squads along the way, with us at the final stop. Because of that, I missed out on having time to get acquainted, form friendships, or get to know possible bunkmates. Rotten luck. The ship departs port soon after I board with the announcement of entering Exceed soon. We were ordered to enter our quarters and prepare for the jump. Now there's not even a chance to scope anyone out. Double bad luck. My cabin looks like it would have been comfortable had I longer to use it. My eyes linger on the sizable bed and I offer a silent apology. After storing my pack in the locker, I secure myself into the chair. The straps automatically coil around me, locking into place. Once the bands are tight and I see their color change to an all clear green, I realize I'm holding my breath. I exhale and then force myself to take deep, calming breaths. Whilst Page training had prepared me for all kinds of faster than light travel, this would be my first XC jump. I jolt as I feel the hum of the engines rumbling, realize as the ship starts to move. I keep my focus on the doors ahead. I stare at a fixed point as I control my breathing. The burst of speed is expected, but still rattles my entire body as the ship lurches forward. A ripple of energy passes through the ship, and then everything is silent. We exceed, collapsing several star systems worth of travel into a moment. It feels almost out of body, or like sensory deprivation. The sensations of touch and hearing are taken from me. I'm glad I have a light breakfast as I feel my insides ground, but I continue focusing on my breathing and staring at the door to reel it in. It feels like days pass before we exit, but it is normal to experience some temporal confusion. In reality, it has been no more than a few hours at best. A chime from above signals we can get up. I buckle myself and stand shakily. I'm glad I got through that without anyone watching. Not eager to repeat that anytime soon. I stagger to the bathroom and gulp a few handfuls of water and slowly regulate my breathing. In, out. After a moment, I feel more centered as I return to the room. That was interesting in a twisted inside-out kind of way. But I'll change now, then, and see if we are planet side. Rescuing my pack, I unzipped the duffel and removed the neat parcel of my uniform, still in the plastic air widened. I laid the various sets out on the sadly unsullied bed. Thoughts of team bonding with some of my fellow recruits danced briefly in my mind. I dismissed them in favor of the task at hand. Running my fingers along the sleek Under Armour I will be wearing for combat and active duty, I'm tempted to try on. I smile at the thought of the brutal training we will be undertaking in preparation to serve our nights. In time, yes, for now, I focus on a dress uniform. I consider changing once in my assigned station, but I don't want anyone making assumptions based on the state of my personal clothes before we even begin. Humans are rare enough to join a combat corps division, let alone the cavalry. I can't help but grin with pride as I thumb over the insignia that tells anyone that I am a squire of the cavalry. They are the best of the best and the leading force against the plague threat. All that training, all those extra hours of practicing and honing my skills, pushing myself further than I thought I ever could. This symbol is a combination of all that hard work. An announcement from above states we're coming into orbit around Fogar Osid and that we should prepare to touch down within an hour. I hurry to take off my clothes and then dash to the shower in the corner. I want to view the descent as much as possible. By the time we get into my uniform and head out to the main deck, we're already moving into an entry descent. Still are drinking the sight greedily. Osid, one of the four main lupine settled planets outside of their home system. The terraforming is beyond belief. Not even a hint of the inhospitable rock they found is still visible. Even from the orbit, the lush green lands in the full ocean beggar belief, as if they painted them on. The lupines are always presented as levels of natural settings, but this truly feels utopian. Passing by us in full orbit is a floating satellite city, Belfast, which serves as the first line of defense against possible attacks. There are all levels of the fleet trained for special engagements, from learning zero gravity maneuverability to omnidirectional awareness. There will be a lot of brand new sensations to grasp and master. I try to recall all the different things I read about OSID as we descend faster, the knowable land masses, climates, and environments, but it all blurs together in my excitement. The destination swelling into view is all I can stare at. The Den, the Cow City Densus, or the Den as it was commonly known, is home to squires and knights from all over the quadrant. Housing all divisions, as well as being a key strategic location for the fleet to engage from. The facility in the outer city outlaws is fully geared to launch immediate action when needed. The Den is home to top-of-the-line training facilities, technological manufacturers, as well as a host of bars, eateries, and other off-duty entertainment. I can see others staring and admiring it as we speed down smoothly, even with the size of our vessel. I am distantly impressed by the piloting. Prepare to disembark the Ark. Collect all belongings. Cameras left outside of Cal standards will occur at demerit. I see a few squads make haste back below deck to tidy their quarters. I didn't have the opportunity to make mine a mess. Even then, I smoothed over the bedding and straightened up the bathroom before coming out. Looking around to spot potential rivals or maybe some sparring partners, I see that only a few have donned their uniforms. Just seeing how fancy some of their civilian clothes look, I can tell many come from much larger ritual systems. Others come from prestigious families or clans, no doubt. I like how I look in my uniform. I stroke the fabric again to reassure myself that I belong here. With another announcement telling us we are about to dock, I turn sharply on my heels, hoist my pack over my shoulder, and then stride for the exit. Walking through the tunnel that leads out into the training facility, I go. The sound of footfalls echo around me, matching my erratically beating heart as we reach the opening. Stepping into the light, I blink out the bright sun as a courtyard spans before us. The looming building shines and glimmers, its curved shape fitting against the lush open area. A water feature cascades down one face, and turbines turn lazily in the breeze. Uniformed squires stand alongside some manner of apparatuses calling us over. I'm taking it all in when I feel an impact from behind. As I start to stumble, someone firmly grabs me by the elbow. With that, I catch myself and turn to see my assailant. My apologies, I was not looking where I was going. Are you alright? The objection dies in my mouth as I see the large blue form before me. Immediately, I'm reminded of Morrow's from those whiskers, but this specimen makes Morrow's look like a kitten. His piercing eyes stare at me with a mixture of concern and impatience. Given his tail flicks, I assume more of so the latter. We both are being left to the side as the others push forward. Sorry, I was lost taking it in. It was my fault. I stumble over an apology, but the spotted individual doesn't seem to mind or doesn't care. He turns to look at the lines forming in front of the building. It is quite alright. We still hurry, though. I'd rather get into the complex before the lines get too long. You will have more time to admire the scenery later. Giving me a polite smile, the feline turns and starts to walk away. Muscular, yet lithe. Long, thick-looking fur. Perhaps he is from a colder system. The big tail suggests it too. I have to shake my head to stop from just staring. I jog to join the others being verified. As I approach the front of the queue, I am greeted by an avian using a waistband stick to verify all persons entering. Name? Cohen Stringer, sir. I straighten my posture as I answer them. They check on the display and they nod in confirmation. They then gesture towards the squad device to their side. It is about waist high, smooth metallic. It has a singular slot in the top. The squire taps it, slightly impatient. Pop your stick in the slot for it to be remodeled. Remodeled? What does that mean? I run my fingers over my scarred and admittedly older device. Even if I could afford a new remodel, I'd keep this one. It means a lot to me. Look, it's necessary. This will clean it up, scan it for faults and malicious programs, and then update it with the cloud firmware and encryptions. It will take not but a moment. They look as if they've explained this multiple times a day. Although I'm hesitant, I don't want to hold everyone up. I place my stick into the slot, which sucks it in. As the machine lights up and vibrates softly, I hear a whirring of mechanisms inside. There are dull beat chimes out slides my new stick. I scrutinize it immediately. It looks mostly the same. The main body is now mate and gray with gold edging to the interfaces and tactile inputs. It looks good, but I still handle it with some trepidation. All the wants and scuffs are gone, except, yes, the knots down the left side is still there. I smile. It looks like some scars stand up to even the fleet's impressive scrubbing. A soft squat gets my attention. Yes, it's very nice now. Enter here and head down to the far room for orientation and nightly assignment. That gets my attention. I knew a squire's duty was to be a knight, to attend to them in daily life and combat, but I do not know we will be assigned immediately. I'm about to open my mouth to ask, but I can see they have had enough. I march past into the building without holding them up further. My heart flutters again, apprehension building in my chest. I assumed that we would be chosen by a knight after being trained up, maybe in some showcase or display of our skills. The fact I come from a nowhere planet on the fringes with no standing makes me nervous that I will be chosen last, or was not chosen at all. What would happen? Would I be sundered into another division, or would I have to wait for a knight to eventually choose me, like an orphan outstaying their younger peers? My eyes threaten to tear up at that thought, and I force the feeling down. No, I worked hard. I deserve to be here, just as much as any fancy folk or prestigious clan. I can't really take in the hallway as I have my breakdown, but the interior is as sleek and smooth as the exterior. Some sort of guidance system within the black flooring illuminates a path. In my headspace, I have been following it on autopilot to avoid getting lost or entering a wrong room. A soft whoosh comes from a well-mounted carrier box as it zips past me. The ceiling tiles open and then slide back into perfect position as after it passes. I wonder how much this place must have cost to build and upkeep. This is another thing that makes me feel out of place. I don't have much time to wallow, though. The door I've been led to appears to be my destination. I take another quick breath before entering, refusing to let anyone see my nerves. The room is far larger than I had first assumed. It looks like a training room. I can see various panels lining the walls that probably house hidden mechanisms. There are large sections of floor that look like they could be removed or retracted to reveal alternative terrain or something else underneath. The room also has that telltale smell of sweat and blood from years' worth of bodies that is so ingrained, even the most stringent of chemicals could not erase it entirely. There are about 24 people in the room. They're waiting with little enough conversation that my interest is noted by everyone immediately. A few curious looks, a few confused. I can see that the general thought is that I had wandered in by accident. One lupine male in particular looks at me condescendingly. His muzzle pulls back in the start of some sneering comment. As his eyes dart over my uniform and he sees the cavalry insignia, his mouth shuts and then he turns away with a disappointed huff. His jazz would have to be found elsewhere, it seems, or maybe I had misjudged. He is in uniform and looks the part, even if he had folded his arms and stared away. I did not give him much mind. Scanning around, I am pleasantly surprised to see the blue fur guy who had almost knocked me over. In the kerfuffle, I didn't have the chance to check with the vision he was in. I give him a quick nod. He returns it with the hint of a quizzical smile. I don't get the chance to say anything as a blur of orange enters my field of view. I'm suddenly looking into the chest of someone thrusting themselves into my personal space. Welcome, fellow squire. It is good to meet you. I'm Zarya Melexis, a Holarian, fifth planet in a crown system and representative of the Tigris delegation. I hope that we can become good companions. The woman before me looks at me curiously. She's upfront and honest that I do not feel any hint of derision in her tone. Corin Stringer, a furrow. I hope we can get along as well. I fumble a far less impressive introduction, but she doesn't seem to mind as she just breezes past it. I see from a few of the other expressions that they all seem to have had this interaction. Corin, wait, the pleasure is mine. She holds out her paw. I notice that her paws, indeed, both arms are. She holds out her paw. I notice that her paws, indeed, both arms are comprised of some sort of metal or ceramic material that runs up to her shoulders. As I take her paw and shake it, the intense grip and her small, motorized movements make me realize her arms are cybernetic. I wince from her tight grip, but maintain the shake as strong as I can. Zarya appears happy with this. She releases my hand before she turns back to her spot by the door. As I see her lie in wait, it dawns on me that she likes to be able to ambush new entrants as soon as they enter. I move further into the room. A few moments later, I hear her greet another entrant. I turn to look and see a rather cute bear, built with a distinct pouch. He seems as disarmed as I was. I'm Gladius Wandus, and from the fifth moon of Alien, of the Earth-Sun system. Is that okay? He squeaks out his introduction. Zarya goes in for her handshake, witnessing it now rather than being subjected to it. I feel it actually helps a lot. She may well be greeting everyone to help break the ice and nerves. Even if there is still tension in the room, she will test everyone's state by flagellating them. I commend her strangely subtle kindness, and I'm interested to talk to her again. The bear shuffles to the side and tries to look inconspicuous, which is harder to do given his overall size. Cute. I'm cut off from my staring as I hear the door open again. Everyone stiffens up and stands their attention, and we see them enter. Led by a wolf that could only be described as impressive, the cavalry knight strides in. Seeing them makes my stomach do backflips. They are the heroes of the galaxy, frontline against the plague, and the whole reason we're here. It takes all I have to keep myself at attention and not gawk. The lead wolf moves to stand in front of everyone and looks us up and down silently. He paces back and forth in the line as if assessing me on the block. I stare ahead and wait. He eventually steps back to the center and addresses us all. If you are standing here, I'm supposed to congratulate you all for passing the grueling tests and requirements that the union sets down. His eyes scan along the line of squires again, waiting, gazing. To me, all that means is that you've earned the right to walk through that door. I don't care how impressive you were on your homeworlds. He starts pacing again. We listen silently. I do not care how many accolades you had. I don't care if you were the top of your class, or if you think you're hot shit. Here, you are the bottom of the bottom rung. The wolf's eyes scour us for any sign of breaking or weakness as he continues. You may have some fairy tale notion that you are going to be some gallant knight who saves the galaxy from evil, returning home to parades and celebration. I inwardly flinch. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't had any daydreams about just that. I'm here to shatter those illusions. We are at war. He slams his foot down to emphasize his point. He is so strong that we can feel it. If you're lucky, you may save some lives. If you're brave enough, you may well help those of us, your knights, who will actually fight to stop a planet from being too ravaged. My stomach starts to knot. It takes all of my effort to remain staring forwards as he rants. Get it out of your heads that you are anything more than walking batteries right now. You are here to keep us standing. We will be the ones saving lives. I'll be damned if I lose a single night because someone had the fanciful idea that this was going to be a cakewalk. He finishes as he whirls around from his pacing. He's right next to me. I can see his chest rising and falling from the passing of his speech. He's looking at me, but I keep my gaze fixed squarely forward. There you have it, your inspirational welcome speech. Congratulations, patients. As of now, you are all officially squires. His voice is dripping with sarcasm. I can't tell if he's just trying to make sure we're serious or if he's actually an asshole. You will serve a knight from now on until you give up, die, or graduate to knighthood. I know statistically that the first... There you have it, your inspirational welcome speech. Congratulations, pages. As of now, you are all officially squires. His voice is dripping with sarcasm, and I can't tell if he's just trying to make sure we're serious or if he's actually an asshole. You will serve a knight from now on until you give up, die, or graduate to knighthood. I know statistically that the first is most likely and the second sadly too close behind. You will learn from us, live with us. You will breathe, eat, and shit by our discretion. If you pay attention and keep up, maybe you will be of use to us. Do I make myself clear? Yes, sir. We bellow loudly, though I thought I heard at least a few voices break in the mist. We shall see. I am, if you are totally unaware, Knight Commander of the Osset Cavalry, Vin Oran. It is my sorry responsibility to keep this squadron safe. I look around at all of us again. You will give me every iota of effort that exists in those bodies of yours. I do not tolerate failure. Failure means the plague wins, and I will not allow that. Understood? Yes, sir. This time the call was much more in unison and true. We all want the plague defeated. That much would be true for any squire, but more so for any attempting to join the cavalry. At least you have lungs, right? I shall call your name, and you will join the knight I call afterwards. This is new to me. I wanted to distance myself from Foro before the selection took place and be judged fairly. The thought makes me sweat a bit. These decisions have already been made by people far more intelligent than yourselves. I will not hear even a whimper of complaint, right? Yes, sir. I feel a nervous excitement bubbling around the room. While it was intimidating and scary to think we had already been paired with a knight to serve, it was also what we all had been dreaming of. At least it was for me. Looking around, I see the commander's fearsome speech had not quelled the excitement most. He starts going down the list of a stick. Each time a name is read off, a new squire steps forward. In turn, their knight is called forth, and they grasp each other's arm in a traditional greeting. Brute Severus. The standoffish wolf squire, who sneered at me, steps forward, muzzle held high. You're mine. Come here. The commander points to a spot next to him. Brute then goes to stand before him, waiting with his arm extended. Finn stares at Brute for a cold second before gripping his arm and then yanking him closer. Finn dips his head forward to the other's left ear, then twitches. I don't hear what is said, but Brute nods sharply and then steps in line behind his knight. My curiosity is piqued. To make a show of it must mean something. Finn lists off name after name, and one by one the herd starts to thin. Other few I know, I watch for who they are paired with. Alexandrite Ronos. The spotted male I've been side-eyeing steps up. His movements are very measured and graceful. Squire to Knight Cannon tops. Another side the knight steps forward. His luminous size is quite imposing, but a kind smile on his face as he grasps his squire's arms makes him look imposable. The two of them step back into line together. Alexandrite looks pleased. I don't know the knight by name, but his presence is formidable. His arms are bigger than my head. I would not like to be crushed by those arms, or would I? Who am I kidding? I love it, especially pressed up against that belly. Zeria Miraxis, Squire the Knight Cyrus, the Mouthful. I snapped my head from ogling the bear to the tiger stepping forward, but I'm not interested in her. Stepping forward to greet her is a knight in crescent, and my jaw drops. His height is staggering. He's covered in red scales. It doesn't look like he has an ounce of fat on him. The impressive Drake grins back at the tiger, who returns it with equal mirth. Her tail twists happily, and they look perfectly matched. I've heard of Cyrus, although I have never met a Drake before. I can tell that he is an amazing specimen just by looking, respectfully. I recall seeing his beaming face in the pictures of Furrow after the incursion. Seeing him in person is suddenly an unexpected treat. The list continues, and a few remaining squires are dealt out. I know my name will be called eventually, but it still feels a lot like being chosen last for sports again. Gladius Wonders, Squire to Knight Captain Diaz. This noteworthy announcement is for the nervous bear who came in last. He looks conflicted. I understand, though, as he steps forward. Knight captains were always second in command, and exclusively pilots for the drop ships. As a squire to one, Gladius will be in a more support-oriented role. As he moves up, his knight does as well. At first, I wonder what I'm looking at, but then I realize the knight has graph arms on their back. It gives the illusion of them being a four-armed beast. We have few procynids on Furrow, so seeing a raccoon knight was a pleasing sight. They studied Gladius silently before offering a mechanical arm for the sake. Maybe the knight captain isn't one for physical contact. Gladius takes it nervously, and then the pair awkwardly move back into position. Now there is a sea of paired knights and squires in front of me, and only a handful of lone squires left. My anxiety starts to pump my heart harder and louder. The fear of being left out and possibly just dismissed dominates my mind. What if there was a mistake and I was left knightless, transferred to another division, or sent back to Furrow as some clerical error? I spend all my energy resisting the urge to visit, keeping my expression neutral and facing forward. He's gonna call my name. He has to, right? I can't be the only one that's standing here. What if he doesn't? I need this. Corwin Strider. I snap out of my spiral as the commander calls me. My muscles barely listen to me as I force myself to respond and move to stand in front of him. My heart pounds in my ears. He called me, right? He stared at me with an indiscernible look. I think about stepping back and realize maybe I've made a mistake. Maybe he truly didn't call me. And I imagine it at all. He starts to open his mouth, and I assume I'm about to be reprimanded. Squire tonight, Cobbets, Iriga. I hear the faintest murmur and breaking of ranks from those around me. The name is well known, so I understand their anticipation. Former commander and an elite cavalry knight, Cobbets, Iriga is one of the most decorated knights in the fleet. He had dropped out of active duty some time ago. I was not aware he was back. By the reaction from the rest of the room, it appears many others were not either. I stand at attention and wait. I hear footsteps first. Simon rises up to meet the anxiety and nerves that are already sky high. Then he's there, passing through the ranks and coming to the front. I see the damage right away. He has scars all over, from years of pushing the plays back. Not to say that any of the knights were immaculate so far. He looks serious, but there is something else in his expression as well. Apprehension, reluctance, and can't quite place it. Before I can really consider it more, he offers his right arm to me. I look at it for the briefest of moments. I want to savor this, but I also do not wish to make a show of it. I grab my arm and clasp it firmly. He returns with a strong grip. It's not challenging or testing, which I appreciate. He releases me and then starts to walk back into formation, towards the back. I hasten to follow him. I want to jump and whoop, but that can certainly wait until I'm alone. For the moment, we stand next to one another as the final few squires are assigned. I check out my knight from the corner of my eye. He stares straight ahead, face impassive. I'm certain he's done this so many times it must be boring. He's at least a foot taller than me. His fur on the side facing me is well groomed and tidy, although his paws hangs loose in a relaxed posture. His back is straight and his stance is well practiced and perfect. I might be biased towards the knight I was assigned, but I can't help feeling extra proud that I have been given such an obviously superior choice. After the final name is called, Commander Finn steps forward, pivots on the spot, and then surveys us from our new positions. All of you standing next to your knights, recall your training. Do not fuck up. You're here to serve them, morning, noon, night. Between training, you're at their beck and call. I will not take any grumbles or complaints. The easy part is over. Now we will whip you all into shape. Follow orders and do better than your best. Now, move out. After his final command, he turns and then marches out of the room. Brute follows swiftly after. We then file out and follow our respective knights. As the commander said, we squires will stand beside our knights, not only in battle but also as support. We will do their cooking, cleaning, and will maintain their armor and weapons. The list goes on. Learning under a knight also meant living in their home. The thought makes me feel cold. The thought makes me feel odd. It has been so long since I've lived in an actual house. I will turn to examining Calbex instead of worrying as I follow him. His long gait requires me to quick march to keep pace. He has not spoken to me yet, but he might just be that type of knight. Although I knew of him in a general sense, he never appeared in any of the interviews or speeches that the fleet distributed in an attempt to make the galaxy feel safer. The silence gets the best of me before too long. So, Knight Arika, sir, it is a great honor to be under your service. I will do my utmost to complete all tasks to the best of my ability. I stumble over my words a little, feeling the heat of embarrassment cover my cheeks. Cobbett turns his head to look at me as he continues to march forward, though I note his pace slows slightly. This Cobbett is fine. While his tone is cold and his deep voice is quiet, I can hear him clearly. I understand the formality in public, but beyond that, you don't need to be so stiff. I don't want to feel uncomfortable in my own home. I think you feel the same. I'm not sure if he's testing me, but it does make sense. I remain quiet and follow. As for your duties, there's not much I require. I do not want an esquire, but command demands it, and I follow orders. I'm taken aback. If he doesn't want another squire, then why am I even here? He doesn't strike me as someone who shirks their duty. Had he grown tired of the war and was waiting for dismissal? My heart sinks, but I also feel a flare of anger. Well, not Cobbix. I have to serve, and I'm going to, whether you like it or not. I'm not going to let myself fall behind anyone else because you don't like your boots being polished. Cobbix glances my way again. His face is so hard to read it's starting to piss me off. You can perform your duty, I have lived alone for a while. I don't need to be waited on as attentively as other knights do. He sounds almost somber. However, I'm still watching the red mist as I wonder if I've been pushed on to him because they expect me because they expect so little of me. Well, good. I will do what I can. I don't think I won't attend to you as thoroughly as other squads would. I'm going to become the best cavalry knight there ever was and end this war. The wolf stops and turns to stare at me once more, and I'm not sure if he is angry, sad, or dismissive. Damn his face, his bloody, handsome face. This isn't some game to win. People will die. You may join them. If you truly want to help others, make sure you survive first and foremost. We're here. I have been so wrapped up and fuming that I didn't notice where I've been led. Looking to where he has turned towards, I see the knight's abode. When you reach knighthood, you're given a reasonable private dwelling where you are stationed. Kybex's home makes the apartments on photo look like novels. A two-story house stands before us. I can see an outside garden and what looks like a training ground, or it looks like a training yard round back, peeking through the hedgerow. While it looks neat, I can see the telltale signs of drone work. There is always something a little too perfect with the way they cut hedges. The outside deck looks ideal for relaxing after a long day, and it appears very inviting. I can picture myself kicking back with some drinks after intense training. Only by looking at the other houses bordering Kybex's can I tell that it has a slightly personal feel to it, though. It was as if there was no character beyond the design, no mark that stamped this as a place lived in. Knights could and would, of course, return to their homeworlds and have residences there, but the majority would serve on a central cow base like this. Many even had their families on the base and could continue to live there after they retired, if they so desired. Seeing a house that seems so unloved makes me frown. Maybe he had been off-world for some time. We moved towards the door, which pops open with a pleasant sound before it separates into segments and slides into the wall. Kybex wastes no time in removing his boots before I can jump to do it. I hold my tongue for now. This wolf needs training to accept my help. With the cosmos as my witness, I shall prevail. He takes me through, showing me the various rooms, study, kitchen. We will share a bathroom here. His home is tidy, though I am once again struck by how little decor there is. It feels more like a hotel room barely being occupied than some place really lived in. And here's your room. You can decorate it as much as you wish. Are those all your belongings? Look at the simple pack I have that contains pretty much my entire life and not. It's old like all my stuff. A single frayed strap supports the yellow duffel, which holds only my remaining uniforms and a few changes of rooms for personal time. Is everything worth bringing, and not much to begin with? Thank you, Kybex. I'll get unpacked then. What time should I report for the evening meal? Kybex looks like he's about to say something, pauses, then gets a strange look in his eye. Shaking his head, he seems to change his mind and speaks up. Sure. I usually eat at sunset. Until then, you can settle in. Okay, I have work to do. Awkwardly, the wolf turns and then hurries away. With the exit he made, one would think he was a guest. I go into the room and then put my pack down on the bed. It's wooden, which surprises me. Even if the lupine ethos is to meld with nature where possible, I had assumed they would have had manufactured furniture like the synthetic printed bunks we had in the dorm. The same goes for the small personal desk in the corner of the room. I walk to it and then run my hand over it. It's old. I wonder if the last Squire Kybex had used this. The window offers a nice view into the backyard where I see a steady training area. The practice targets look battered, scratched, and well worn. I sit down on the bed to think about the whirlwind and things that have happened today. I'm in the cavalry department. That's good. It's what the plan was. I've been assigned to one of the most decorated knights in the fleet's history. I feel like there is something I'm missing. He doesn't act like the hot shot you expect. I pull out my stick and then bring out The instant of, the instant to net, the instant to net, the feel of it is alien since the update. It feels, it takes a moment of, it takes a moment to sync all the new updates, and then I'm on. The first search comes up immediately. Captain Corbett, or weaker, returns to active duty after suffering heavy damage. Although the article does not go into too many details, it appears that Corbett had to undergo surgery after a severe crash. Shrapnel from his ship was removed from all along his left side. I assume they couldn't save the eye. The article goes on to say the damage required physio to regain mobility. He then had to retain in order to so he could still fight after everything. It was only recently he had been cleared to resume duty. I frowned as I skimmed through the rest of the article. I expected it to be light on the details, but there really isn't much else to learn from it. Leaning back against the wall, part of what I just read. If I'd been through all that, could I push myself to the peak physical condition required of a knight? The medical sector of the cow is second to none. The fact that he still looks extremely capable is a testament to that. It isn't omnipotent, though. There's plenty that even the most advanced sciences can't fully heal, not to mention the mental wounds. Cobbett had been through all that. I'm beginning to understand that maybe his attitude is due to the fact that he doesn't want to look like he needs help. Understandable, but lonely. He needs me, whether he understands that or not. He needs me, and I need him to let me do my part. I have to show him. Although I'm alone, hearing my resolve helps me cement my focus on what I'm going to do. It's a promise to myself to prove to him and everyone else that I can do this as well. I don't have much, so unpacking is more about organizing my uniforms and placing my civilian clothes away. Whilst my room doesn't have an attached bedroom, it does have a basin. I refresh myself just as the sun starts to set. Walking out of my room and towards the stairs, I'm immediately hit by a wave of aroma. My stomach practically leaks out of my throat, and I realize I haven't eaten since before dawn. I had to control my descent as I round the corner and then entered the kitchen. The tour had been pretty brief, so I hadn't really looked around the room. It's quite humble, really. It's the only room that actually felt more homely. I could see a small table with two chairs tucked against a sliding glass door. It looks out onto the same training area my bedroom looks down on, as well as the rest of the back garden. The kitchen area has a small island that separates it from the dining space. It has a black sink to the top. It looks to have some function I'm not sure of. The fact that it has some discarded junk and plates stacked on it makes me think it doesn't see. It doesn't make me think it doesn't see much use. Cobbett has his back to me, moving something around that is releasing bursts of delicious smell. It makes my mouth water in anticipation. Even though I can feel my resistance crumbling, I remind myself that our resistance should very much be reversed. I frown at the back of his head. Not that my attention remains there for long. My eyes travel down his broad muscled back to the tail hanging over the two buns that. I force my eyes back up as he turns. It would not do well to have my knight find me leering at him on the first day. Scratch that. I'm in general. Hey, shouldn't I be the one cooking for you? I try to avoid blushing as he brings two bowls over to the table. His comfortable demeanor makes him seem much more approachable, and he looks good with a smile. Well, I don't have an assembler here. I never was keen on woven food. I'm used to manually cooking, so don't worry about it. I stare at him dumbfounded for a beat. I have never even seen an assembler before, let alone know how to use one. I've been cooking by hand for a while. Don't lump me in with the fancy squires from around here. The wolf just blinks at me as if he hadn't considered I knew how to actually cook. He sighs and places the bowls on the table before he takes a seat, gesturing for me to join him. I'm so sorry. It was wrong of me to assume. I sit down opposite him and internally beg my nose to stop inhaling the steaming bowl of deliciousness before me. I am used to doing things manually, having to relearn how to do things. Even now, years later, I prefer to do them myself rather than letting machines do it. He scratches near his implant on his left cheek, and I glance over to it. I'm not versed in an integrated tech. I bet morals would be much more ecstatic to gaze at it. I understand that. I'm not trying to take over everything, but I do want to be your squad properly, even if it's not every day. Let me take some tasks off your load. Look at him squarely. I still don't have a full read on him, but I can see he needs his independence of months, if not more, than anyone else. How about we at least make a good show in public? Show me how to squad for you in front of others. When we are off duty, I'll leave you alone. He considers it for a minute. At this point, I'm certain I'm being subjected to some form of torture invented to teach squires to go without food, even when presented with so tantalizing as treat. That's a fair offer. I can offer that, and I will do my best for you too. Whilst I'm no longer the best knight in the cavalry, I can show you some techniques. Hey, you're my knight. That makes you the best there is, I proclaim proudly as I see the hint of a smile on his muzzle. He pulls his own bow closer. He starts to eat. I gladly, finally, start on my own. Lying on the bed, full and content, I feel myself starting to drift. Everything had been more draining than I expected. I could barely keep my eyes open. I fumble with my stick and eventually bring up a window to type Morals a message. I still don't know the restrictions, so I keep it brief, letting him know I'm settled in and everything has gone alright. I get a message back shortly after with a bunch of cute icons. Smiling, I weld the device in my hands. I recall learning how to use it, what the widgets and wheels did, and how it felt to type at first using the hollow screen as a guide. Before long, it became second nature to use it entirely by touch. I still prefer to read the messages visually when I can, though. After making sure an alarm is set for just before dawn, I place my stick on the headboard. Then I snuggle into bed. The last thoughts drifting in my mind are of Carbex and his kind, yet distant look, and what tomorrow could bring. Alright, so Cowan got what he wanted. He wanted to be in the cavalry. He got to be with a knight. So, from earlier, with the ponytail, Cowan's going to have some issues with him going forward. Some of the others were nice. I forgot the names, but the tigress and the snow leopard and the bear. Now the commander, he was ruthless, very ruthless to everyone, and he's very insistent on them being their very best, fighting against the plague. And apparently Carbex has some trauma. He feels like he's of no use anymore, like he used to be, because that little sympathy on that crash, it caused him a lot of pain mentally and physically, or physically anyway. Like he lost some parts of his body, and he feels like he's just not. He doesn't have as much of a purpose as he used to have for the that was called something like that. But anyway, he wants to be independent. It makes him feel more valuable. He feels like he's still that he used to be, because he's one of the greatest knights ever. Continue being a knight, and by being independent and not relying on his squire, he could be his old self again. This heroic person who can fight and is pretty determined to be his squire and to do what's to fulfill his responsibilities. If Carbex won't give him much in advance. So I think they both agreed to at least play that out in public. Cohen doesn't have to do much privately, but Carbex should at least let Cohen take care of what they see in public. So that was the first video for Infinite Space. There's a lot more. So thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.